We'll call this PAC meeting to order. Roll call, additions, deletions, and/or approval of the agenda.
I would move the agenda be approved as presented.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Declarations of conflict of interest and approval of the minutes, April 16th of 25.
I'll move to approve the minutes from April 16th, 2025.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. No questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. Planning and Development Report. Mr. Day? Would that be you?
So, if you allow me a moment to gather my wits.
Sure.
So that was a bit of a long thing, right? And I know there were some gaps and funny bits, but generally captured. I spent a lot of time writing things to the building inspector about files that we needed to get closed up or managed, or just in some way reconciled. Because there were some open areas that probably shouldn't be closed now. So I haven't had a response from the email I sent. I'm not sure where that was, but it had kind of a bit of a spreadsheet in it. We'll get there though. Lots of projects launched though.
It's exciting.
Lots, yeah.
Mhm.
It's pretty amazing.
It was fun to
When you
look.
look at the value of what we've gone through already this year, it's substantial. I'm wondering if there were any points in the report that anyone wanted to discuss. I'm assuming that everyone had a chance to read them. I know you read them a long time ago, but you had a bit of time.
One question I had was just your note about the pools, the inspection on the pools.
Yeah.
And just kind of a question about that because I know, well, I know there's requirement for permits for pools and for fences and things like that. So I guess my question would be, what would a typical pool inspection, what would they be looking for? Is it more just setbacks and fencing?
So, in other worlds that I've worked in, we actually did go out and inspect pools because of the potential danger they represent. And it's mostly around things like the fencing and how they are arranged in relation to the house and to the exterior perimeter of the yard. And also, there's some specificity around the kind of latch used too. But apparently in Pictou County, it's not something that's commonly inspected. The permits are issued, people are advised to ensure that they're built according to the bylaw provisions. And we actually have two sets in a sense, which is a bit redundant. We have them both within the land use bylaw, but also the pool bylaw, which at some point I think we should have one or the other, but not both. It's probably not a burning thing to be looking at right now, given everything else that we're contending with. But I did draw your attention to that on purpose, just to see if you wanted as council or as PAC to council provide some direction on that. It would simply be a matter of indicating to the inspector that, while it may not be practice, we would like you to do it. And I think it would be better coming from someone other than me.
Yeah, I agree. I think there is something that we need to be more clear on that. And one of my concerns is I think it's fairly clear when it's a large above ground pool or an in-ground pool, but there's lots of those like inflatable blow-up pools, and those can be like even more dangerous because the sides collapse in on them, and there doesn't seem to be any rules for those ones like fencing and yeah, so it's just something to consider. That they're very popular, they're non-expensive, but they can be put anywhere and they're easily accessed by lots of
It's funny that you brought
children.
that up. I was at a site meeting last week with someone on the road talk about some survey things in the back that they were wondering about. And they have a pool, and it was that kind you're talking about. It actually did have a side collapse that basically washed out the neighbor's yard, and this wall of water went in.
Right.
And the kids would have found it fun, I'm sure, just
Right, right,
Slip and
right.
slide?
Yeah, more of a drowning hazard is what I'm scared of. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, through you, Sean, is it around fencing primarily that are the regulations that exist currently on our bylaw, as I recall that?
Fencing is a part of it. There's a whole bunch of factors, but the principal parts are relative height of the fencing
Right.
to the surroundings, and the particulars about how you can get into that fenced off area. And so it wouldn't be a long inspection, but in my experience, you end up having follow-up because people are often doing these themselves and aren't quite getting them right. And then so there is a cost associated with, going into this further because the inspector may have to make more than one extra visit, maybe an extra visit, a letter, another visit after that. So it's not that we get tons, but we have had several this year, applications for pools.
Right, and it's a building permit process.
Yes, there's a development and a building permit is what
Right.
it is, the way it's currently structured.
I didn't know that was not a thing for my time on council, so I'm glad that it's been brought to our attention.
Yeah, I just think we would assume that was the case, I think.
My assumption would have been, which is also probably part of the problem, is folks just not obtaining building permit in the first instance as well. That's a secondary issue, that folks just aren't getting permits for schools.
At all,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot, just like sheds. They show up in really funny places.
yeah. Even if we had some knowledge, like some things put out on our town Facebook page, like as we go on to the summer, where we're like, okay, it's kind of pool season, warmer weather. These are expectations of what
Yeah,
we,
these should be
Well, as was
followed.
said, just the fact that you need a permit, you need a building permit to
Yeah.
install a pool. That's number one. Start there.
yeah.
Because I'm sure a lot of people
And a
will
lo-
just
but
go
there's-
ahead and put it in, order it or whatever, especially the above ground ones, right?
Yeah.
Without even thinking that they needed a permit.
Yeah,
You do need a permit.
yeah. And we should share that knowledge more of
I
what
wonder
needs
if
to be
it's
done.
something we should highlight on our webpage.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I think so.
Write it down as a to-do.
Pardon?
He's
You
got it
should
down
mark
as a
it down as
to-do.
a to-do on your to-do
Put it on the
list.
whiteboard. The other question that I had, or not, I got a question, but I noticed.
Whiteboard. On the virtual whiteboard.
Perfect. I noticed that some solar panels have been
Yeah,
installed.
quite a few.
And so obviously, once again, you need a building permit to install solar panels. And I wonder, I'm sure that the people that are installing them obviously know that. I'm guessing. Am I right in that?
Well, I would say yes, that they do, but I can't know.
Yeah, right. You don't know, but you don't know.
So they are, there was a change made not too long ago that required different roof structure than used to be the case. Although it seems that engineers are able to go out and look at these houses and confirm that the existing roof is or is not capable of sustaining the weight of the panels. And so that's part of what we get when we get an application. We get an engineer report saying, yes, this is fine in this application, or in order to become fine, there has to be some particular upgrade. So there is a process that the industry is aware of and seem to be following as best as I can tell, but I also don't know if people are sliding on panels and not.
Well, and I asked that because, we're just at the beginning of, we're at the cusp of solar panels becoming more popular all the time, I'm guessing, like metal roofs have become, I think the two are gonna just,
Yeah, as
Hand
the
in hand.
technology
Right.
improves,
Costs.
the cost will
Yeah.
go down. And speaking from experience, putting 18 panels on the roof, I believe you need to get a building permit before you can pull an electrical permit. So it's just, because Nova Scotia Power needs to be involved and,
good point,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. The only other thing I was going to mention about the report, Mr. Chair, is I see a report there of 6 4-unit buildings on Penwick Lane, and I'm not sure where Penwick Lane is.
No.
I think it's Acadia.
It is.
Avenue?
It's a new private lane.
Okay.
Off of Acadia.
Okay.
And that's what it's called.
Okay, so that's going to be
Penwick?
the entrance going off of off of Acadia
Correct.
to the development, it's gonna be called Penwick Lane. Okay, did not know that.
I've actually got photos.
I thought it was actually a typo. I thought it was a typo of some kind.
That's the new 24 units on Acadia.
Right, on
Yeah.
Acadia.
Yeah, I've got photos showing the progress they're making. The site is cleared, the footings are going in, it's moving along really
Good.
nicely.
I felt like a Whitetail Lane would be more fitting there.
Right, yeah. Or, yeah, deer court or something, right?
We can save that for the next one.
Yeah. Penwick.
All right, I was excited by the progress made on, was it Dufferin Path?
Dufferin.
Drummond Path?
Drummond
Drummond Path.
I confused those. I mean, I wouldn't say it's done, there's still some improvements that can be made, but compared to what has been.
Yeah, it's happening, yeah.
Several decades now, it's a massive improvement, so.
Right. So just a quick question then on Penwick Lane. So the civic address is there. Will they be Penwick Lane?
Yep.
Number whatever?
So there'll be, on the left, it'll go 135, and on the right, it'll go 246.
Right, yeah.
And each of those will have unit numbers.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm just thinking of, well,
And it's already on, I've already put it on the NASCAP, the Nova Scotia
Okay.
Civic Address file, I've uploaded it to that.
Right.
So, I don't know if it's showing up yet.
I think it's important that our emergency services are aware of this basically new street, or lane, I guess we'll call it a lane, we better call it a lane, because that's what it says, Penwick Lane, in town, so that they're aware of it and can put it on their radar as well.
That's an interesting point.
Because, when they get a call, and I mean, I would say right now, if someone, they've been there the next couple of weeks, and something happens, it's an emergency, and they say, what's your address, and you say 6 Penwick Lane in
I'll
Westville.
say not in Westville.
people are
You're
going,
gonna be
not
roaming all
Westville.
over town, they're not gonna
No.
know. That's my guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
They would be getting.
but that'd be updated on,
They would be getting it from Property Online.
Right.
Or the NASCAP, that would be, I think, updating
Okay.
immediately, but I can look into that, just
Yeah.
to see if there's something more we should.
Just to make sure.
no, I just,
When we're creating a whole new lane or
Right,
street. Yeah,
right,
there may be
you know.
something more that we can do.
Should be mentioned, because I don't think they, I mean, that's not gonna be something that's physically sent to them from.
No, it would update on the streets, in the
Not the
units.
fire department don't have screens.
Ah.
I'm just
yeah,
saying,
become up there with pager.
yes, I'll speak to the chief tonight when I go home,
Right,
Okay.
just to get them, yeah, I mean, realistically, I mean, for an example, if there was a structure fire there and they had to call in, their protocol is to call in other departments
Yeah.
automatically now.
yes,
Stellarton's gonna have no idea.
Yeah.
Elm would have no idea where that's at.
yeah.
So that could cause a lot of issues. So,
During the construction process, their site safety plan, they should be identifying as lot whatever Acadia Avenue until all the bells and.
Until the civic number.
Yeah, until they have an actual civic number,
Mhm.
yeah.
For the construction phase at least, that would be on, Van Velden Company, all the
Yes.
conglomerates to make sure that they.
So to that point, the inspector wanted them to all have good numbers, because that way he could differentiate the stages that the different buildings are.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Not uncommon.
Good.
See lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, like.
Well, it's exciting. Bottom line is to have a new development in town of that nature. Great.
Problems of growth.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
good problems to have.
Good problem. We've been waiting for these problems.
Probably the most recent street be private lane, probably Jerry Lane, probably the most recent.
Correct.
Addition.
Be
Jerry would be, I would think,
Robertson,
I don't know which would be first, yeah.
Jerry.
probably
The chicken or the egg?
Robertson would be the latest, wouldn't it?
Well, Robertson is a true town road
Yeah.
through sins of the past.
Yeah.
Versus Jerry Lane is still private,
Right.
right?
As we speak, yes. Or as we sit. That's a great report. I mean,
Yeah,
it
very
just
much.
shows the activity that's going on, and you probably have an equal, I'm guessing, Sean, there's almost at least a quarter more that's not showing up yet,
There's
or more.
We're moving right along.
Yeah.
On the small lots compact home program, the ink isn't dry yet. In fact, there may still be a period of due
Yeah.
diligence. I've been working with a developer who's seeking to purchase that property that we made available on Acadia Avenue next to the entrance.
Right.
Awesome. Anything from the Dal students about following up with the memorial benches and things that we had talked about?
Their reports.
Yeah.
It's up to us, I think, to carry the ball now.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out if we want to do that this year, if we want to push it off, what committees should shoulder those two programs. But, you know, also if we got into it and we found that there was something that we weren't understanding, I'm sure that they would be more than happy to, jump back into the fray and give a hand.
Yeah. They just had such great ideas. I want to act on them before they get forgotten about.
Do we have kind of any sort of a committee that would have the downtown as part of its mandate, like revitalization of the downtown? Because when you think about it, we've got the benches thing, we've got the mural thing, we've got the pop-up market thing.
Yeah.
We're starting to get kind of a critical mass of things that need to be managed
In that area.
about the downtown. And so I know you guys don't need more committees, but somehow I think there needs to be a concerted effort.
Yeah, right now, it would go across several committees, but.
Between
Scott,
recreation,
what do you think of
accessibility.
that? What's that, Scott?
Sorry, say that again?
I was suggesting that we've got a lot of things that are all focused on the downtown that are kind of loose ends right now. We've got the bench program, the mural program, now we've got the pop-up market program. And a lot of the active transportation is actually really focused in the downtown as well.
Right.
And so should there be a committee that actually has that as their focus? Because otherwise, if they're scattered amongst various committees, we may not have the drive and the focus to kind of hit it out of the park. Anyways, something to be
Yeah,
discussed.
I get the point. I don't know, I mean, if council wishes to do that, I mean, there's no problem in creating a new committee. You know, if
Think this committee.
personally see it now as part of PAC. Because
just what I was gonna
it's
say.
all about planning and all that, but if there's a desire to, you know, engage others in the downtown core in that discussion, I mean, I think that's perfectly fine, no problem doing it. I would just note that, you know, the mayor and I tried that, a year or two ago, right, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
And our recollection is that we sat there looking at each other and a few other hangers-on.
Yes. Yes, no question, yeah.
So just add it to the agenda for
and,
planning
things
advisory.
turned up.
Yeah. At some point in time, when the.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
maybe it needs that's a good idea, Sarah. Maybe it needs just a line in PAC as, you know, downtown. Yeah.
I think it belongs in PAC right now.
Downtown.
Yeah. And what we need to do at some point in time, Mr. Chair, is that as our development grows, obviously we can anticipate some more commercial development as well, retail, commercial in our downtown core. And hopefully that'll create a situation where we can actually have a downtown development, you know, group. Call it what you build, business development, whatever you want to call it. We tried that. We tried to get, through the Pictou County Partnership, we had a meeting, and I think that's what Scott's alluding to. And the only ones that showed up were members of council at that time, that were on council at the time. We had a nice evening of coffee and treats, but no one else showed up. No one. I mean, literally no one from the downtown business. You know, we tried to reach out to everybody we could, but no one came. So, but, you know, that's not to say.
Yeah, I think we're. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you know, I think, given where Westville was like a year and a half ago, the fact that nobody turned up didn't really surprise me.
It wasn't.
I think we've got enough going on now. It may be just a little too soon to have a downtown focused thing just quite yet, but my sense is once we put in the pop-up business stuff, and once a long-term care facility is literally on the books and is moving forward, I think that's going to generate of interest downtown area for commercial development of some sort or another. And then we might need something, like what Mr. Day is suggesting, but in the meantime,
You're breaking up.
I would use the token development or something like that.
One of the things I noted in my report was a meeting I had with a developer and their architectural team on quite a substantial project for center block Main Street.
Right.
And if that comes to pass.
Yes. That'll be a great catalyst
Absolutely.
to the downtown
And, you know,
development.
it will be a challenge for us in some respects, but it's gonna be an amazing opportunity for the downtown. And there's another, building that's gonna be losing some tenants, and that opens the door to retreating that building possibly to create commercial opportunities, which there hasn't really been any of, but there is no place to open a business.
Right.
And so by the changes that will happen in that structure, you know, maybe we'll get 4 or 5 open doors for new businesses to come in.
Right.
So, which would be amazing.
It's a great report.
Yes.
The question I would have, I guess, through you to Mr. Day, is in reference to that possible development proposed, that's in the initial, I know, stages of downtown and the downtown core.
Yes.
Where, can you shed some light on, like, where that does stand? Is there anything that we need to do as a
There
PAC?
will be, but not quite yet.
Not yet, we're not there yet?
There's not enough that I can bring it forward yet.
Okay.
But it's, there's more than I expected, which is
Okay.
great, yeah.
Good.
So they've been working behind the scenes to pull
Good.
together the kind of information, but they're exploring the right fit. You know, they have to be careful not to overgo, because construction costs are pretty high right now. But they also don't want to, you know, significantly underbid.
Right. No, that's excellent.
I think that they're in conversation with a number of groups that will be tenants or
Yes,
partners in the
yes.
project right now, and that's kind of where it is. But there are some pretty well-established drawings that I was able to review, so.
Right. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
On to updates.
Sure.
Yeah.
The Acadia 2030.
So I've already talked a little bit about Acadia. In fact, I think that everything I needed to say is done. They're well underway. There are foundations in the ground. Buildings are gonna start showing up soon. So, you know, I think that there's gonna be, by the fall, there's gonna be 24 new dwellings for people to move into, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
On the Shaw Drummond one, Mr. Mayor, you saw that we were working with them on trying to find a way to shave some costs, and one of them is to, at least for now, not make changes to the Queen Street interchange at Drummond. Maybe interchange is high, it's a corner.
Yeah.
And so we've arrived at a place that's gonna work for everybody. So I'm expecting that we'll see applications for development coming in pretty soon from them. They seem to be keen to go.
There was a very promising email that I was privy to today that came
Yes.
across your desk, Scott, and my desk, and I responded quickly saying, this is really exciting, and, you know, and I said in the email to them that there's been a lot of questions about when that development's gonna happen. I'm sure everybody's getting it, and I expect that those units will be gone very quickly. And I hope they are, because that'll prove to this developer that it's possible. You know, you don't have to have that fear, and they'll do more.
Well, and they'll gather feedback that's good. Like,
Exactly.
people will come, and if they buy them, great, but if they don't buy them, they'll find out why.
That's
What-
exactly.
What did you
Why?
want that we didn't buy?
What
That's
did
right.
we
Be,
do?
In some ways, more valuable.
Right.
So
But
there
there
is
is
a
a-
lot in Westville right now with sales too, because things were sitting for a little while.
And then
Some
all
were
of a
sold
sudden-
signs in the last
Absolutely.
Yeah.
list, and
And it seemed like they popped up all of a sudden, all down, you know,
Yes.
North Main, just sold.
True.
So something's happening.
houses that have been sitting a while too.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's great.
Yeah.
It's a great sign, I think.
Scott, Mr. Weirs,
Yeah,
I've been pestering our surveyor on the pop-up village or vendor village or whatever it is that we're gonna end up calling it.
We need to come up with a
And
name
he feels
for
that
it.
they did mispin that northern boundary. Remember when we were on the site last last week where like, this doesn't seem right.
We need a name
And
for that.
he's gonna take another look at that, and hopefully we'll have
business
something for us tomorrow on that.
Pop-up business.
I know visually
Black
it
Diamond
doesn't
pop-up
align with
business.
what I had
No,
thought.
Black
exactly.
Diamond
Yeah.
pop-up
I'm looking
business.
at it, I go something, like, either it's wrong or we were wrong.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
somewhere in between, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, and I know Superintendent Chris Siegel had been concerned about that as well. So,
Yeah.
but I'm surprised that the surveyor got it wrong. They're supposed to be the people that get it right.
Let's hope.
You know, if you
It's a bit
have,
disconcerting, but
if you
anyway.
have a projection number wrong in your gear, it can send you to a very different place, like very easily. It takes, you know, one little button press to move everything around on you, so.
So is it my understanding from just talking briefly with Chris today that the prep work is going to be starting next week there? Is that my understanding? Is that from,
If we can get the pins in the right place.
yeah, well, yeah, that, notwithstanding that. Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, so we'll work to, you know, we've got scale drawings of what we want. Council has seen that and PAC has seen that, so we'll build to that scale drawing. And to get it right, we need to know where the property lines are, which is
Right.
why we hired the surveyor, so. I mean, I thought we were taking a step forward, but maybe it was a sideways shuffle there for a moment.
I was just thinking, you know, because we have trouble referring to what that is, pop-up business, you know, whatever. We need to come up with a name for that little,
Maybe we should have a.
we need to come up with a,
contest.
maybe we have a contest.
Like
to
how you
throw it
named
out-
the plow.
Throw it out to the community, like we did with the plow, you know?
Exactly what I was thinking, Mr. Mayor.
Name, name this little area. What are we gonna call this?
That would be good.
We did that with the plow, and it was
Yeah.
well received.
Mr. Mears, have you had any communications with Wade or whoever it is that's gonna be working on assigning stalls?
Might be
Part-
Scott now.
Partnership?
Wade's not.
Wade.
Yeah. Well, Wade, is he still doing the,
They're asking questions, Pictou County Partnership, so they are actively marketing, for lack of a better phrase, to their clientele. They lots of these is they're asking questions. Some of the questions that I've fielded in the last little while include, you know, how many electrical outlets are there? Because some of the clientele are thinking about food service and that kind of thing, and so they need to know how many electrical outlets, et cetera. So it's
That'll be it.
active, and Pictou County Partnership is engaged entirely. They're gonna be making some, I suspect they'll be making some requests of the town. One of them being for the town to foot the bill to kind of provide some internet access right there. So we'll have to talk about that with council, but I want to see the details before we do that. And, you know, it would be a small price to pay and probably build some goodwill with some of the vendor potential.
Well, not only that, you mentioned Wi-Fi, and like in a previous council, several councils ago, that was widely discussed, and, you know, there was some feeling that we should have Wi-Fi available downtown, particularly around the park and so on. You know, Splash Pad, and now with Megan's Place and all that area, that would cover that whole area. You know, it's a great thing to be able to advertise and, for future business and so on as well, and for anybody coming to town to say, you know, you have Wi-Fi access when you enter downtown. So personally think that's something we need to look at and pursue, along with security cameras. The two.
Yeah. Have we heard anything more about the springs that were stolen from Megan's Place? No updates?
no updates?
What we're still.
Large
Springs.
springs for some of the playground equipment, two of the big, large,
Yeah, a couple $1,000.
yeah.
Yeah, from
stolen from
Megan's
the
Place.
site, yeah.
Yeah.
We're coming to that, it's on the agenda, Megan's Place.
It's right here where we're at, Main Street
Oh,
Initiatives.
and pop-up,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, Mr. Chair, maybe Scott can, Megan's Place update, Scott?
Yeah, so the good news is, they are proceeding a pace, faster than I actually had thought. So they'll be done, they'll be done in another 3 or 4 weeks, probably. Things are going, I think, well. The one setback was the theft of the 2 rings. And, they're, I don't know, 24 inches high, and they're about 8 or 9 inches around. They weigh about 60 pounds each. They were in a box. The box had a loader bucket lowered on top of it, and somebody pulled the springs out and disappeared with them. There is a reward set for them. New springs have been ordered. I think the only other update really is working with them, Dirt Road Contracting, to think about where in the current, in Megan's Place, can we park the pieces, or some of the pieces at least, of playground equipment that we were able to salvage from the previous playground. So much of it wasn't salvageable for a whole bunch of reasons. The swings weren't.
Nope, I lost him.
Yeah, because remember at one point we talked about putting the things up on.
Yes.
Yeah.
We lost
We lost
Scott.
you,
There
Scott.
really wasn't much, I'll skip in here, there really wasn't much salvageable, there's 3 pieces.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
springs were all rotted out and stuff like that, so they can't reuse them, they can't be fixed. They did look at that,
Yeah.
because that was a question that I had at a different meeting, so, and that was the answer
The
that
other-
I got, so.
Yeah, and the other thing.
I went and talked to Scott about it as well. I was
Yeah,
like,
the
what
other
are we
thing
doing?
that Scott mentioned was that there's new regulations with regard to playgrounds
Yes.
that didn't exist when these ones were in. We could
They
put
weren't.
more pieces.
Oh, you're back.
Gary's back. We could put
There
more
he is.
pieces in an existing playground, and they'd be grandfathered
Right.
under the current regulations.
Right.
Any
New
new
ones,
playground.
you gotta
new
follow
playground,
It's not
needs
code.
to meet the new code.
Code, yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
That's right, and that's the
Oh.
Uh-oh.
that's the reason why I'm thinking, kind of rethinking what we're doing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because of that, and I don't.
Do
I
what?
don't think it makes sense to dig up an existing playground.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Scott, did you want to, are we at liberty to announce or mention the recent donation to Megan's Place that we received that basically meant that we can finish the project financially?
Yeah,
Because I'm not sure whether the donor indicated they want it made public or not. Are we okay there?
yeah, I think we can. We're working with the foundation to find a suitable date. I just saw something from Caval today, so.
Okay.
Last week, Sobe Foundation
Came through.
agreed to provide $100,000 for Megan's Place.
Nice.
So,
Awesome.
fabulous donation.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
Kind of really puts us over the top.
Yeah. If I was a drinker, I would have.
For Megan's Place.
Yeah, if I was a
License
drinker, I
Springs.
would have had a glass of champagne that day. It was that was
Yeah.
a beautiful email to open up and see that, $100,000. And coincidentally, that's what we realized we were basically short
Right.
to finish the project.
It was
Right.
almost
Right?
like,
And
yeah.
out of, it was unbelievable, really. Really.
Good.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
Good job, so
Well, the other thing, Mr. Mayor, that the council might be
We all are now.
Yeah.
interested in hearing is the Westville proposal got unanimous approval
Right.
at the foundation.
Right.
So they actually vote on each thing,
Okay.
and not every proposal gets support from everybody on the foundation board. But this one got unanimous approval.
As it should.
And that, I think, the foundation called it out, so I think it was significant.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Excellent.
We're very grateful.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome.
Very good.
All right. Riverview. had a meeting this afternoon over at the River Run Cafe with two representatives to talk about this. They're looking at how best to proceed with the project on Temperance for the first phase, which is the set of 3 semi-detached or duplex units. Whether it would go as of right on subdivided lots or through a site plan approval process. And we'll have to look at that. There's no easy answer on it, but we do have a limit on not more than 4 units by site plan approval in the current situation regulations for the R2 zone, which is where they are. And so we would have to do some subdivision even if we do go through a site plan approval, because we're talking in total right now, there'd be 3 buildings, 2 units each, so plus the existing, that's 7 units, so.
So we're gonna have to rezone the land?
No, it wouldn't be a rezoning, but it's just a question of do they want to split it up into 3 parcels and do 2 basically site plan approvals on those, or do they want to just subdivide all the units into their own lots and then it's an as of right application?
Okay.
Time frame on all that?
I think that they want to move pretty quickly on
Yeah, I
that.
know they do.
Yeah. So.
This is adding to where the
That's right.
home is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there is a phase 2 being discussed as well, so.
Because they can take advantage of our incentive,
Yeah, if they put a
Right.
certain number of doors.
Well,
10 doors.
And just because
With
there's
our
need,
accelerator
they have
fund.
land. It's a very large property.
Right,
You know, there's
right.
certainly need for-
And the time frame for closing the facility out in Riverton is November of 2026, so time is kind of of the essence.
Happening, yeah, quick.
Sneaking up.
Although they have acquired other, houses through purchase, one being down on Church Street,
That's right.
which is going to be also the center for the Green Team, which is the team, the residents that do maintenance work and so on.
Yeah.
They're going to be centered there as well, so it's fantastic.
That's awesome.
It's
That
great
is
for
really
Westville, I
cool.
think. You know.
Yeah.
Have they talked any more about doing a cafe? Remember they talked
Well,
about
they'd gladly do a cafe, another River Run Cafe here in Westville, if they had the location, like Sean was saying a moment ago. You know, if we had
Yeah.
something we could offer to them and point them to, they'd be more than happy to do that.
So that came up in conversation today as well, and I pointed out that there may be some commercial spaces opening up on Main Street.
Right.
I also suggested that, you know, as a starting point, they might consider a food truck in Westville,
Yeah.
potentially at the pop-up market. And they thought that that was interesting, and they'd take a look at that.
That's cool.
Because if you can find a food truck that's ready to go, they could start operations pretty quickly. They have a staff person that's really keen on running it, so.
That's awesome. When we talk about our commercial buildings that might come up on Main Street, or can we talk about what ones they are yet, or no?
Sorry?
The commercial buildings that may come available on Main Street, can we talk about what they?
I don't know if that's public information.
I don't think we can yet.
Okay, are we going in camera? Because I have 2 other
Yes.
I
questions
don't
that I'm
think
not
we
allowed
can
to
yet.
ask. No.
There will be any cameras, I think.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
All right, that was Riverview. I spoke already about the small lots, that there is one that there's an agreement for purchase and sale on it already. That took no time at all. Although we've been being pestered by several people for lots, and this particular one was one of the ones that people had looked for, so it's not a surprise, I suppose. The development agreement and the amendment for the Highland Consolidated Municipal Property, the CPD rezoning, all of that has gone through the appeal period. So now it's a question of signing the development agreement. I'm not sure, Mr. Weirs, if you have anything to add on that right now. I don't know that they're ready quite yet to do the signing, but
I think he's gone.
I feel like he can't hear me.
He's frozen. There he's alive again.
Oh.
Hey, there he is!
I'm missing, there's been a bunch of stalls in the,
Yeah,
Yep.
not, but like now.
The satellite quit.
NSCC and the, if that's right, I don't really have anything more to say at this point, other than the letter of agreement, for purchase and sale is out there, and, they have done a few weeks ago doing, due diligence around the state of the building, and I would expect to be hearing from them probably in the next week or so, as those reports start going back to NSCC.
There was an email yesterday.
So, at the moment,
There was an email yesterday from Diane Kelderman that indicated they're moving through that process quite well and very positive. And I'm just trying to find it so I could. But
I
it-
just
it-
want to say quickly, though, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
We were at the NSFM spring conference,
so,
and
I'm
Diane,
seeing it
oh,
now, yes.
sorry, Scott. And Diane Kellerman did a presentation with Lenny,
Mm-hmm.
and she literally had a lineup afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Of all the towns who were like, we're next, we have a building, they waited in line.
Never
for-
seen
like,
it happen
I've
before.
never seen anything like that. Like, it was a great presentation, and then everyone,
Until the demo started before.
Well, I made the point very clear at the conference that any
No.
future things
yeah, Lenny piped up
involving
and goes,
the
and by the way,
NSCC
Westville's
will
first.
be
Yeah,
after
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Westville.
Yeah.
I made that very clear.
But it,
Completely hatched yet.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was really well received, and she had, like, towns were like, oh, could you do this with this? Could you do this with this? Could you do this with this? So they could line some projects up for sure.
Trailblazing Lenny. That's good.
Yeah, Diane's email basically said, they're moving through the process, and they found something with regard to the elevator, which is totally not unexpected, that it doesn't meet current standards, sort of thing.
Right.
That's to be
An elevator
assumed.
from
And
1961.
the structural report is, they're going to have something within this week. So they're quite anxious to get going, obviously.
No. Me neither now.
No, no, and that was the point. The point
Sidebar, no.
Yeah.
point was that they knew that was.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah, deal's done.
One thing that didn't make it onto the early agenda was, because the meeting only happened yesterday, active transportation study, we've moved into a phase 2 right now on that, which is, Cycle Nova Scotia has found some money, and they've engaged WSP, who are a planning and engineering firm that specializes in traffic-related work, among other things. And so we had our kickoff meeting yesterday with them to start looking at, what are the concerns of the community, what's going to work in the community, as they sort of come to understand how to build phases in a way that would be reasonable for the community and affordable, and just come up with some pricing for us to see how we can move forward. And they're looking at 2 of the 3 phases, or 3 routes. There's the Main Street route and the Drummond route are the 2 they're looking at right now. That's right. And for the time being, the other one that ran through Prince Albert and what was it coming out of? What is Prince Albert? Tion North, I think.
North Street.
Yeah.
North Street.
So that one I think is the one that's postponed right now, because these 2 were felt to be higher traffic routes. So I just wanted to let people know that that's going on.
Did we ever get the results of that townwide survey that went out there? Like, they put out in January and then, I'm assuming it's.
Did we get a report on that? I'll look that up, yeah.
Melanie has.
She would have. Okay, that,
That completes that. Delegations on issues or discussions rising from business or other business. Hearing none. Can we have a motion to go in camera?
I'll move to go in camera.
Motion moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried.